Rocky makes like a bubble for him to be in, and he moved in, honey. He can let me come on this spaceship and see the science. And he came on amaze. So cute. I don't know how that you make a rock lovable, but I tell you,
I know.
he was lovable. He was a lovable rock
He
spider
was.
thingy.
Welcome to the Margins to Movies podcast, where we talk books, movies, and everything in between. Today, we will review and rate a book adaptation to answer that age-old question: which is better, the book or the movie? We're your host, your favorite internet bookworms. I'm Della B.
And I'm Nita Key.
And we are gathered here today to review Andy Weir's Project Hail Mary.
Hail Mary.
All right. Nita, would you like to go ahead and start us off with our spoiler disclaimer?
Yes, so there will be spoilers, okay? We're sorry, but we're not sorry because we talk about it from the rooter to the tutor. If you are feeling that, stay with us. If you are feeling like, okay, I don't want to hear everything, because I'm going to read this book or I'm going to watch this movie, by all means, hit a like and subscribe on your way out to exit, but please come back so that we can chop it up with you and you can hear our review and you can drop a comment or two and let us know what you thought after you read the book and or watched the movie. All right, so just if you leave, come on back now. You hear?
We're gonna start Project Hail Mary off with our book, and then we're gonna do the movie rating. So I'm gonna give this one we probably can make a book wreath out of it, and which is about a 2 out of a 5. And the reason that I'm giving it that is because it was a lot of science. It was like I was reading a science experiment over and over and over again. Part of the reason why I got out of med school was because I couldn't do all the science. Didn't like chemistry, didn't like physics. And the very first time they told me I had to dissect a roach, I was done. So too much science in the book for me. That's the reason why I gave it a 2 out of a 5. What about you, Nita?
I give it a 2 out of 5, and it's not that it was horrible because I was able to finish it. It had me hooked in terms of the suspense because you start with the central character being butt naked on a spaceship, and it's like, why is this man butt naked on a spaceship? So I had to get the tea. Okay, I had to find out what was going on.
Yeah.
I do how the story played out where it was questions, what is going on? And then it was slowly filling in gaps with flashbacks as the central character, Ryland Grace, was getting his memory back. So I really loved the structure of it. I loved the suspense, but I feel like I was reading a science textbook. It was a lot.
Yes.
Jargon, and if you're not a science head, it was just like, dang. And the book went on for like 100 pages longer than it should have went on. It was beating the dead horse with the science. What did you think about the movie?
Okay, so all right, so for the movie, I gave it a go big, which is to get you a large popcorn and maybe some snacks and then go ahead and enjoy the movie. And actually, Nita and I did go to the movie together, and I did get the pail, but that was because I liked the cover of it. It had a picture of Project Hail Mary. But the movie had beautiful visuals. The planets that they showed were just gorgeous, all the colors. If you like outer space and seeing stars, it was a whole lot of that. And then also the movie had a lot of humor that came to life, which I really liked. And I just really like how the emotions were more in the movie, because you can read about that in the book, but it was hard to feel it, but the movie came to life with that. What about you, Nita? What'd you think?
I agree. The movie had a lot of heart, and I thought so too. And humor, I like that as well. And also, the movie had Ryan Gosling, baby. Okay, y'all, please don't come up tomorrow telling me something about Ryan Gosling that's gonna make us cancel him. I do not want to cancel Ryan Gosling, honey.
No.
He is a phenomenal actor, and he had this movie on his back. Oh, look, our new merch. Anyway, he had this movie on his back and he carried, baby. He ate, he left no crumbs. Ryan Gosling, I mean, he really brought the character to life and he was mesmerizing on screen.
Yes.
You know, you just couldn't take your eyes off of him. So, yes, I give it a go big as well. Great movie. Go see the movie. It's really good. And one thing that Della said when we were there, that I was like, oh, yeah. She's like, it's like a modern day E.T. And I was like, oh, yeah, it is. It is giving modern day E.T. So go see it.
Yes. And a play on the names. Ryan Gosling, RG, and then the main character's name was Rylan Grace, RG. So that's something I picked up on just for fun. All right, so let's get into a book summary, and I'm going to let Nita take it away.
So the book is a series of present day and flashbacks. So in the present day, we have Rylan Grace, and he wakes up butt naked on a spaceship. The information about who he is and why he's on this spaceship comes through flashbacks. I'm not going to say everything in order of the way it happened, but the way the book is structured is at the end of every chapter, you get a realization, an epiphany, and he remembers something that's really
Yeah.
important, right?
Yeah, I like that. I like
Yeah,
that.
but I'm gonna give it to you just straight, but it's not in the order that we got in the book. So please know
Okay.
that if you also read the book.
Yeah.
Okay, Rylan Grace woke up butt naked on the ship. He has two people with him in beds, like hospital beds. He has a robot voice talking to him, asking him what's 2 + 2, and he's like, "What is going on? Why am I naked? Why am I, on this hospital bed? Why am I on this ship?" And then the two people who are also on hospital beds are deceased, he says. And he realizes that makes him sad. He does not know who he is at that time. He doesn't know he's Rylan Grace. He doesn't know that he's from San Francisco. He doesn't know that he's a middle school science teacher. He doesn't know that he was actually sent into space to save the world, child. The world is in danger because the sun is losing luminosity. Something is covering the sun. They went up there to see what was going on, and they got a sample. And a woman named Strat.
Yeah, she was kind of like like a mission commander or something.
I don't even know what her credentials were, honestly, child. I can't tell you. But Strat came to find Rylan Grace. He was teaching the children, honey. He was excited. The children, they bouncing around. They love Mr. Grace. Mr. Grace, their favorite teacher, honey. They was all in the situation. So Strat comes to his class and tells him, "Hey, we want you to look at this organism we found on the sun," because when he was in academia, he wrote a paper or an essay about water not being essential to organisms, like we don't need water. Right. And so she found him because of that. Now, he's not in academia anymore because he was acting a fool and cutting up because the people totally did not agree with his findings, that he was calling them idiots or whatever. He was just doing the fool. So he got kicked out of academia. She found him. She said, "We might need you because this organism exists on the sun, and so it's probably not made of water. So we need someone with your level of expertise to help us on this." So he said, "Oh, me? Okay, all right." So he went to the little science lab, and he was able to view it first. And what was funny was that he was like a test dummy because they was like, "Look, we got important scientists, and we don't want to expose the important scientists to this. So you're gonna be our little test dummy, and you're gonna look at this first, and if you don't die, then we're gonna see into the other."
Exactly. Yeah, they were all behind a window and protected. They won't take no chance.
Yes, he found out that the organisms die, and he also found out that they were made up of mostly water. So he was disappointed because it disproved his theory. However, he was the first person to give actual information about and to name the astrophage, which was the substance that was covering the sun. So basically, what Strat was doing was she was assembling like the dream team of scientists and engineers, of people who were going to go into space to find out more information about the astrophage. And also they saw that this astrophage was covering everything. But there was one area where the astrophage was not covering. This was it a star?
It was a star.
Okay, a star called Tau Ceti. It was not covering that. So the mission was for them to go into space and to see why this astrophage is not harming Tau Ceti. Okay.
Yes.
So he was not even supposed to be on that spaceship in the first place. The important people. Yeah, astronauts who were supposed to go on this trip. And I thought it was funny in the group. One of the astronauts was this guy. He was like, "I'm engaging in intercourse with the other."
He sure did.
He was like, "Okay, I don't need to know about that."
TMI.
The guy was like, "The intercourse is quite nice." And he's like, "Oh, sir." It was funny. But anyway, so How he ended up going, which was that the two the scientists on the trip, it was supposed to be 3 people on the spaceship. 2 of them were doing experiments and they ended up dying.
Yeah. Somebody
Yeah.
gave him the wrong amount of astrophage because astrophage was very, very powerful, very explosive.
Yes, and it was too
Yeah.
much. Yeah,
Yes.
and it was too much astrophage, and then they passed away. So then Strad was like, "Well, we need you because you were training them, so you're the one who needs to go." He said, "You know what? I really appreciate you for thinking of me, but I'm going to politely decline your offer." And she
Yeah.
was like, "Boy, we're not asking you. We're telling you,
Yeah.
child. She gonna drug this man."
Mhm.
Drugged him, and she basically told him that you gonna get on that ship, you gonna save the world. Earth is dying, like everyone's gonna
Yeah.
die if you don't do this. And we only have like 26 years. It's gonna take you 13 years to get there and 13
Yep.
years to get the information back, right?
Yep.
So we don't have time to be playing with you. Your cowardly self, leaving academia and acting the fool the way you been. And so, baby, they drugged that man. She said by the time you realize what's going on, because what they gave him caused him to lose his memory, right?
Yeah.
By the time you realize what's going on, you're gonna be in so deep trying to save the world that it's not gonna matter. And her plan actually worked, right?
Yeah.
So he's out there trying to save the world, child, and he encounters another spaceship. This spaceship starts communicating with him, sending
Mhm.
him things, and he's sending things back. And he's like, "Oh, it's aliens? I'm engaging with alien life forms." Come to find out that he is engaging with alien life forms, and
Mhm.
he meets an alien that he names Rocky, because Rocky
Rocky.
looks like a rock child.
A spider rock.
Yeah, he looks like a spider rock. And Rocky told him he's from Irid. So they
Mhm.
started communicating, and then they were like, "Well, we can't really communicate because Rocky didn't talk, y'all. He used music, noise, and notes." So because Rylan is really, really smart, super smart, he figured out a
Mhm.
way where they can translate their languages so that they can communicate with each other. Child, they had some nerd communication. And so he finds out that Rocky also is trying to go to Tau Ceti because he's also trying to find out why isn't astrophage destroying Tau Ceti. So
'Cause
they team up. They're in different atmospheres, so neither one of them can exist in the other person's atmosphere.
yes.
So he's an engineer. He's super smart. So, oh yeah, y'all like this shirt? Y'all show y'all that? Okay. All right. So Rocky is super smart. So Rocky makes like a bubble for him to be in, and he moved in, honey. He can let me come on this spaceship and see the science. He came on amaze. So cute. I don't know how that you make a rock lovable, but I tell you,
I know.
it was lovable. He was a lovable rock
He
spider
was.
thingy. But yeah, so he came on and they came up with this crazy plan where they were gonna go and they were gonna get a sample. Y'all, science. I'm not gonna get into the science of the situation, but they were going to get a sample to find out what was different about the astrophage in that area. The life of Rylan was risked to go out there and to get this
Yeah.
sample.
And he was seriously hurt, and then Rocky came out of his bubble to save him. So then
Yeah.
Rocky almost died. Yeah, trying to save Rylan Grace.
Yes. So basically, he found out that Rocky had lost 22 of his comrades, right?
Mhm.
So Rocky was dealing with loss, and he told Rocky that he lost 2, so they were bonding over their loss.
Mhm.
And then Rocky moved in with him, and he also found out that Rocky has enough astrophage to send him home. Because his whole
Yes.
time he was thinking this was like a suicide mission, he wasn't gonna
Mhm.
go home. But so they do their like dangerous mission. He almost dies. Rocky saves
Yeah.
his life, like Della's saying. He came out of his atmosphere to save his life. And then Rocky, we were waiting, we're hoping and praying that Rocky doesn't lose his life trying to save Rylan, and he survives, right?
Yeah.
So he
Mhm.
survives. They're doing their experimentation and they find out that has a predator,
Yep.
Talmega. Okay.
Yep.
So they're doing their science experiments so that the Talmega can exist in certain environments so that they can take it home and they can use it to eat the astrophage to save
Mhm.
sun. They want to save Earth and they want to save Earth.
Yep.
Baby, science and engineering, all up in
Yep.
okay. So basically, in the midst of all this, the ship, which is called Hail Mary, because it's
Mhm.
called Project Hail Mary, gets damaged. Astrophage was trying to go mate or something. So the astrophage was also
Yeah.
leaving. Right. So
Yes.
they all these issues. That's what happened. First, the astrophage was there was some type of hole or something in the ship, and the astrophage saw, their
Yes.
homeland or something like that. So they were leaving, and so
Homeland.
then they had that situation where
Yeah.
the Hail Mary spaceship was just damaged so bad. But they were
Yeah.
able to get the spaceship back to Rocky's spaceship, and they were able to repair, and they were doing the experiments, and basically they got to a situation where they both had their Talmega to take back to save their planets, going their separate ways, and it was so sad. Oh,
Yeah.
let Rocky don't go, Rocky,
Yeah.
my boy. So
Yeah.
so Rocky was leaving, and they went their separate ways. Come to find out
But
that the Talmega could eat through Xenonite, right?
yes. Yes.
Xenonite was the boxes that they used to house the Talmega.
Yes.
And also the Xenonite, most of poor Rocky's ship was made up of Xenonite, right?
Yep.
So then Rylan had to make a decision. He had to decide, is he going to go home, or is
Yep.
he going to send these beetles that they gave them to communicate with back home? Is he going to send the beetles and go save Rocky? And
Yeah.
what's interesting about that is that he found out through his flashbacks that he was not a hero, that he did not want to save Earth, and that they basically drugged him and put him on the ship. So he's
Yeah.
like, I'm not a hero at
Yeah.
all after all. But now he gets to be a hero. So he decides, you know what, I'm going to go back for my boy. Okay, so he goes back knowing that he doesn't have enough food to survive. He might be dying of starvation.
Yeah.
However, he is able to save Rocky and his planet. He finds out that he can eat the Talmega. Yeah, that
Yes.
was in the book, right? Yeah, he found out that he can't eat the Talmega, even though he had diphtheria and all types of issues from it. But he
Yeah.
was able to overcome that, and they actually build a habitat for him on Erid, and he lives there for 16 years. It says that he gets to be 56 years old, but 71 years have passed since he left Earth. He's walking with a cane, and Rocky tells him that Earth has regained full luminosity and Rylan can go home. And Riley decides he might go home one day, but not now. And then we see his career, which is he is a teacher, and he's teaching all the little Rockies on Erid, honey. And the kids bust up and down and love the situation. They love Mr. Grace, honey. Favorite
Yeah,
teacher,
they
Mr.
do.
Grace. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's basically the book in a nutshell. Let's talk about the movie.
Okay.
So, casting for the movie.
Okay.
Talked about Ryan Gosling. Okay,
Mm.
a phenomenal choice.
Yes.
I was actually wondering, what was he looking at when he was filming? Because he was clearly not looking at a rock spider.
I
So
know.
what
I
was he
agree.
looking at?
I agree with you on that. He did very good on that. It made it seem like he was really talking and touching and being right there with someone. So that was really good. That was very good acting. Very good acting.
Yeah,
And I
that
don't
was.
know how they do that in the movie, but he did a good job on that.
And one thing I liked about the movie too, he didn't really have like a love interest.
Yes,
No, like I like that. I thought that
I
was
did
different.
too.
I thought they were gonna try. He didn't really have a love interest in the book. It was about the friendship. He and
Yes.
Rocky loved each other, and they sacrificed for each other,
Yes.
died for each other. We could see that. So I felt like it was pretty much him. The only other person that I thought was really pivotal was Strout. And who was that actress? Who was that?
Oh, her name was Sandra Hüller.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen her anything before. That was her name, Sandra Hüller. I think she's from another country. Rocky's voice was by someone by the name of James Ortiz. Again, I've never heard him before, never seen him in anything, but he was the voice of Rocky.
Yeah. So in terms of the adaptation, what did you like about the adaptation?
First of all, in the movie, again, you got a stronger emotional impact. And, with the music and the visuals and everything, it made it feel more realistic, and it was just beautiful visuals on it. And, I loved the way that they brought that into it, and they made it seem so real, because we're like in outer space, and I'm like, what are they gonna do with outer space? Show us Earth again, like they always do in outer space movies, but they showed us this other planet, which was renamed Adrian after Rocky's mate, and it was so pretty. So that was really, really nice how they did that.
So you notice in the movie they had that scene where he could go and pretend he was on Earth, and he could pretend like he was doing things like he was at the beach.
Oh yeah, that was nice.
I really like that. That wasn't in the book.
Yeah, I like that too. I like that a lot too. The other thing that I like is, because it is a movie is faster pacing, and obviously it's going to be a whole lot less science. It's not as detailed with the science. They're still doing science experiments and they're doing things, but it's not telling you every little
Yeah,
part of it and what's included on it and the name of the
that was
chemicals
good.
and this and that. So that made the movie move
And E
a
equals
lot
MC
faster.
squared and YE equals MC squared. Baby, we don't care.
Exactly. Exactly. So I really like that the movie obviously didn't have as much science. So it made it easier to follow the movie, I felt like. And then I like the fact that we were able to hear and see Rocky because he was such a pleasant little character and he had a lot of humor and he was funny
Mhm.
and he was also a loving character. And then I also like the additional character building that they had in the movie, especially when it came to Eva Strat, because they talk about her in the book, but in the movie, she had an opportunity to show a little bit of her personal side because she's so rigid and strong and commanding. Well,
Yeah.
then this other side of her came out when she stood up and she did the karaoke and again had this wonderful voice and everyone's looking at her and she just sang and then she finished it and then she got off the stage. So I
Yeah, I was
really like that.
yeah, I was wondering if they were trying to with the karaoke scene, if they were trying to say that Rylan was starting to like her romantically.
Yeah.
It seemed like or maybe it was just admiration he felt for her.
Yeah.
But honey, before she drugged him and told him, "Baby, okay, you getting on this ship whether you like it or not." It seems like maybe something was starting there.
Yes.
But yeah, they didn't get too deep into it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. She was so rigid and this is the way we're going to do it, but I loved her character though, and the fact that whatever she said went,
Yeah.
oh, is that what you need? Okay, we got it. Is that what we're going to do? No, this is what we're going to do. No, I need you. You're going to come here. This is going to be your new lab. So she commanded and it happened. And I love that about her character. She had so much power and just being a female. I like that too. What about you, Nita? What'd you think?
I felt like it was a very strong adaptation. I like how it just basically, like you said, had better pacing. The book, it was very slow. When he was trying to
Mm,
realize something and when he was doing experiments, trying to figure it out, and he was having these epiphanies, it was like pages of him trying to think and figure it out and do his
mhm.
calculations. And I didn't need to be there for those pages. I'm like, so can you do those pages, in your head and just come in, just go move forward in time, baby, and just let me know. So that's what they did in the movie. The epiphanies and decisions that they came to, all of that was happening very quickly, and I really appreciate that. And
Yeah.
it really moved the story along, which was great. There was way more dialogue because in the book, Rylan was by himself a lot of the time. A lot of
Mm.
time it was him talking to himself and him having thoughts about science, boring me to death, child. But there was more dialogue because they gave him someone to talk to. So in the movie, they gave him like that bodyguard type guy
Mhm.
when he was doing the experiments.
Oh, yeah, they sure did.
So, yeah, they kind of became friends, and that gave him someone to talk to for
Yes.
dialogue. And also, it seemed like Rocky came in earlier, so and then he could talk to Rocky. So he always had someone to talk to. It's more dialogue, which was good. Less time in his with science in his head. Definitely less science, and they know, this is a movie, baby. We don't have time for all that. Get in, get out, get to it.
Exactly.
I felt like it just had more heart when Rylan wanted to hug Rocky and was showing Rocky what a hug is. I was like, oh, hug Rocky.
Mhm.
I love that. Rocky's personality too. I feel like there was a lot more humor, like Della was
Yes.
saying. It had like funny moments. And then also one thing that did not happen in the book that I thought was a missed opportunity was Rylan, like he never went on to Rocky's
Oh,
spaceship.
yeah.
And in the movie, he actually went on to the spaceship and he saw it. And I'm like, baby, if you're gonna be in space with an alien, honey, we have already suspended disbelief. Go ahead
Yes.
and put him in some type of bubble wrap and get him on that spaceship so we could
Mhm.
experience that. In terms of the film, I felt like my major miss was I feel like it was a plot hole when it came to Ryland's family because they didn't talk about his family. I think
Yeah.
Strat in the book they didn't talk about his family at all, and then Strat in the movie said that he didn't have an immediate family.
Mhm.
So for him to make the decision to stay in Irid, now we know that him getting on that spaceship was not his choice. He didn't, have any say in that matter. But him making making the choice to live in Eric for 16 years and finding out he could go home and saying like, I might go home. I don't know. And then also all that time he was on the spaceship, he didn't think about, my mom or my dad,
Yeah.
my brother, and I just felt like they gave him no attachments aside
And
from the people he was meeting. You know what I'm saying?
I think they did that on purpose because they had made the decision that he was gonna stay on Rocky's planet. So I think they didn't
Exactly,
want
and
him to have any attachment.
that's what that's what I'm saying. That's
Mhm.
why they did it. I know
Yeah.
that, but my thing is that I don't like that layup that you gave
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
Give him a family. You know what I'm saying? Give him a family and make him be torn between that decision.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I love the heroism of it. And that would have been him
Yeah.
showing even more of a hero in the fact that he had to leave his family to make this
Yeah.
decision as well. I
I'm
agree with you
social
on that. Yeah.
attachments. They were like he didn't meet people till he was on this mission. It was just
I
him
know.
and the children, honey.
I
It's like,
know.
how did he get here? I
I
mean, the
know.
store brought him.
Yeah. Yeah. There
And then
was
you
no
didn't even
backstory on him at
explain
all.
like, oh, the parents died or
Yeah.
something like that. It was nothing like that.
Yeah.
So do you have
Yeah.
any misses for the movie adaptation?
For the movie, okay, so I thought that sometimes I felt like it was a little confusing because in the book you do have way too much science, but it did give you more details and explain a lot to you. And in the movie, some of it, because it was moving faster, I think you could have lost a little bit of that. The other thing that I forgot to put as a win was I liked the fact that in the movie, they actually showed that the beetle made it back to Earth because they showed Eva Strat watching his videos that
Yeah.
Ryan had made. Of course, she was given orders to go ahead and do what they needed to do to save Earth. So
Mhm.
I like that in the movie, whereas in the book, it just said that Rocky's people basically told him that the sun was starting to get brighter. So he knew that they did get the information, but we never had confirmation of that from somebody actually see it, his videos or whatever. So I did like that in the movie that they did show it did go back, whereas in the book they did not.
So, the final question, which is better, the book or the movie?
Okay, so for me, I'll definitely go ahead and see that movie. Like we said earlier, if you are not a science buff, you do not want to read this book. So go enjoy the movie, get you a bucket of popcorn, and enjoy Ryan Gosling.
Okay, yes. And I agree. They made smart changes. It definitely elevated the storytelling for me, especially if you're not a science fiction fan. I'm actually curious. I might check out Goodreads and see what type
Yeah,
of rating this book has, because I'm
that's
just
a good.
curious. Is it just me?
Yeah,
Right? But yeah, I felt that the adaptation was a really good movie. And that's all the show we have for you today. Make sure you like our video, subscribe, hype us up. If you're listening to us on a podcast, please make sure you follow us and give us a 5-star rating. That will help us out so much, and we will be eternally grateful to you.
absolutely, absolutely. So until next time, we will meet you.
Between the margins and the movies. Bye.
Bye, everyone.